Hey, this guy. Yes, this is pre-recorded. I have been putting this video together for a long time. Thank you, Miss Ray. Yes, essentially it's a theory TAS. Like, I'm gonna go through a whole spiel when we start here in a minute. I want to give people time to show up, but hey, Moose, nice to see you. Shadow Tash, I think Thanatos is here. Hi, everybody. That's literally what it is, Miss Ray. It's like I took, you know, I would run sections dozens or hundreds even of times to get essentially what can be as close as possible to a perfect iteration, and then just spliced it together with the next section and so on for an undetermined amount of time that I will not say because that will tell you how long the run is. Hey Starcoin, nice to see ya. Hi JK. Exactly this guy. And like, and I'm gonna say this all in a minute when we actually start, of course, but y'all are here anyway, so like, this is not perfect. I'm just a human, and like, this game doesn't have the convenience of some other games like Spyro, where you do a level, you go into a load screen. You do a level, you go into a load screen. So that makes it easy to splice, right? That makes it easy to put together because you have a load screen. In this, you can't do it from checkpoint to checkpoint. It's way too long. You know, so I have to splice when I'm in the same spot, when Trico's in the same spot. So there's going to be a lot of jumps. There's going to be a lot of, cuts like that. But it is what it is. In the end, this is not meant to be like an absolute perfect reflection. Instead, this is just meant to be kind of a labor of love that shows what a really, really awesome run would be. You know? But I want to give people a little bit more time to get here. Probably like 2 more minutes. And then we'll start. I do promise you that this is faster than your normal Last Guardian run, as you might expect. Oh, thank you, this guy, by the way, for shouting me out in your Discord. I appreciate that. But yeah, like, I have been working on this for a long time, like so long, in fact, that you'll see like variations in the quality of the video, because some of these are from, a 1.5 years ago. Yeah, I mean, call it out, chat. What time do you think that we're gonna finish an any percent in if everything goes right? 1 more minute. We'll wait 1 more minute, and then we'll get going. Also, by the way, because I can never find starting screen music that I actually like, I am currently playing, it's probably very quiet, but I'm currently playing music by Slamhouse, who is a Twitch streamer who writes music on stream. I have Slamhouse spelled out at the bottom here of the wait screen, but go check him out. Current sum of best, this guy, I mean, let's take a look. Compare against best segments. 306.27 is currently my sum of best. This is the closest get a virtual cookie. You can have a virtual cookie. You could even be Lizard Wizard for a day if you want to be. You could have a Morty hug. A little Morty mlem. A boop. Okay, we actually waited like 2 minutes, so Let's go. Let me make sure that I'm, Oh, that was like perfect. That was the end of that song as well. Easy. Easy. Tell me if the audio is unbalanced, by the way. Obviously, since this is pre-recorded and not my normal, stream, it might be a little bit weird. I'm gonna actually talk at my full volume now. I was talking a little bit quieter. Okay, so thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. That was probably really loud, sorry. I thought you were like saying there was an echo. I get it. Hello, Echo. Nice to see you. All right, let's do this thing, right? So I'm gonna actually leave the starting screen up because I want to make a few comments before we start. Oh, that's wonderful, this guy. Hello, hello, Echo. So I have written down these thoughts because I want to get them out. This is going to take a little bit. Bear with me here. So like I said, in Spyro, in some of these other games where you have, loading screens, essentially, that makes it easier to splice things together. In this game, we do have loading screens kind of whenever we reset, but some of these resets are, 5 or more minutes apart. That is way too long to create a perfect run. So I am going to be splicing in the middle of actions. There are a couple rules, and I want you to know this. I am doing my best to be as authentic as possible. If it's entirely possible, theoretically, right, that I walk somewhere, and then I splice, and then when I put the next video in, hypothetically, I could make it so that Trico is right next to me. And that's cheating. That's not allowed. Like, I'm being honest here. I am splicing in a way where Trico is in the same spot as he was. I am in the same spot that I was. All of the things that you see in this run could happen. They are possible, or else I wouldn't do them. That being said, sometimes in an effort to be faithful to what's happening, the cut might be a little bit harder. It might, because the camera angle isn't always going to be the same, and so it might be a little jittery sometimes. You're just going to have to bear with that. It is what it is. So I'm never manipulating off-screen details. I'm not, making it so that something happens that couldn't possibly happen. Sometimes things that might seem like they could be a single segment are two segments because I did the first half perfectly one time, but then the second half sucked, like, that sort of thing. No PS5 gameplay because I am not yet sure exactly how that impacts how fast things go, so this is all PS4. And the only other thing that I really want to say is there are going to be some segments that have no sound. That's not your headphones. Like, don't freak out that your computer's suddenly not working. It's just, those are typically from streams where I was talking. So I muted them so that I'm not talking over myself. So there will be occasional parts that are muted. That's basically all that I wanted to say. Some sections might look a little rough. I did my best, but I am not a professional video editor. So we are just going to accept this for what it is, which is just something that I am very proud of and that I've been working on for a long time. So I hope that you enjoy it. Let us make this go away. I realize, need to turn on Mort Cam. I meant to do that while I was talking, and then I got so absorbed in what I was doing. No device? What are you talking about? Hold on a second. Hold on a second. I'm bringing it back. We have to have Mort Cam. Like, come on. Hold on. Oh, God. I'm turning that off. I'm so sorry if you heard that. That blasted my eardrums out. All right. Alternative is going to be... I know exactly what we're going to do. What was that? Yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I fully did not expect Mortcam to not be working, but it's kind of the nature of the beast. So I know exactly what we're gonna do. Let me just set it up real quick. Sorry for the brief delay. Open with this. All right. We are going to set up a window capture real quick. Like this is fine. And then we do this. And then hold on a second. Hold on a second. Where's my window capture? God damn it. Oh, it's right here. We gotta get Mort down here. I gotta crop this real quick. You all are very politely holding on while I crop this Mort cam real quick. This is the Mort cam that I sometimes use for marathons. Top. Let's see. So we're just gonna have that running in the background. I did not anticipate that Mort was not gonna be working, and quite honestly, it turns out that the camera is kind of malfunctioning, so. Mort Cam is always live on stream, and he's live about 70% of the time during marathons. If I'm streaming at like 2 in the morning, his light is off, so I have to use like a. All right. Let's do this. Mort Cam's going now, and that will mean that I think we're ready to go. He's a something blue something skink. Yeah, he's a blue tongue skink. All right. So here we go. This should be working. Let me just monitor the audio real quick, make sure. Yeah. Tell me if you cannot hear the game loudly enough. I can always turn it up. Is more cam spliced too? So I'm comparing against the splits of my personal PB, which are about 2 minutes slower than the current world record. Current world record is 3:15. My sum of best is 3:06. But this run will do essentially everything as perfectly as possible. So we will see how quickly we can finish The Last Guardian any percent. It's a relief to not be playing. Like, I can talk so much more because I'm not actually playing, you know? And there will absolutely be, you know, some sections that are basically the same. Like, this section is roughly the same, except for just, you know, optimized movement. But some sections, there will be bits where we are doing tricks that, like, have never been seen before and are completely not RTA viable. Do we get a Trico poop? I should have routed in a Trico poop. I should have routed in every Trico poop. That should be my next goal. Just create a segmented run where Trico poops in every possible location. Hopefully it's not lagging too much. I'm actually playing this as a media source in OBS. So I imagine it might, you know, stutter from time to time. Hopefully it doesn't get too bad. If you're seeing, like, stutters at all. I'm seeing a little bit, but... But little things like here, you'll see that when I head down to the spear, I actually get a grab where the boy is facing downwards instead of facing upwards. That will make a big difference in how much time it takes. It saves a couple seconds to not have to climb that extra distance. But still, you know, this part is pretty standard. Exactly, this guy. Like, at the beginning, I really wanted to run each segment, like, from black screen to black screen. But it's just not possible. You know, like, some sections you don't have a reset for 15 minutes or something, and it's like, you can't... Hey, Foxy. You can't run 15 minutes enough times to make it perfect, you know? You have to cut, like, among it. So the best that I could do was cut when the boy is as close to the same frame of animation between the two as possible. You'll see what I mean. Hey, Azama, thank you for the resub. I appreciate it. Hope you're doing good. I didn't split at controllable Trico, you know, don't mind me. We're just gonna I wasn't paying attention. Obviously, we're gonna get this ledge grab because it has to be a perfect run. That's included in a perfect run. Yes, we are watching a video of a multi-segmented run. That's exactly what's happening, yeah. My poor computer has been housing this ever-growing file for a long time, and it's now like 90 gigs or something. Did she go for optimal White Tower skip? So White Tower is... I'm really proud of my White Tower in this video. It is extraordinarily fast. I had to permit that message this guy, but it's funny. So yeah, every now and then you might see like stutters in the video. That would be a cut. Some of them are going to be extraordinarily obvious. And I kind of did that on purpose. On the one hand, you know, the camera and everything is not going to be exactly the same, so it makes it like kind of obvious. But at the same time, I did want there to be super obvious cuts. Like, I want there to be no question that this is a spliced run. I want you to be able to see it, you know? I'm not trying to make this appear smooth like it's a single segment thing. So obviously we have a really good shot here from Trico. He's not out of the cave. And his tail is just barely around the rocks. So that was very quick. It's quite lucky. He will do that. I don't want to say commonly, but it's not super uncommon to have him walk butt first out of that corridor. But that was a quick shot for sure. No scope Trico. Hey Kuno, nice to see ya. How you doing? No, split please. I want to show people how fast we're going. The whole point. So a minute saved at Lake, you know, by this point we're usually... Oh, well, against the 317 we're not really saving anything, but against the 330 we're typically saving about 17 seconds there, so... Thank you, Azama, for the host. I appreciate it. You'll see a splice here. Watch for the jitter. Right there. So you can see what I mean. Like, I'm doing it in... And I slowed it down to frame by frame. I'm doing it as close to the exact same frame as possible. So that we can be as honest as possible, you know? No door bridge. And I was honestly quite proud of getting this part to work this way. And we're up here. We don't have to do the barrel. We don't have to do the climbing. We don't have to do any of it. So that will be a huge time save by itself. And obviously, you know, we are out of the cave at 8:25. On average, people are going to come out of the cave at about, you know, 9:40 or so. For the chances of Trico doing that in a run, the reset is fine. Like, the reset is actually not that bad. Getting Trico to just immediately hop up there is much harder. Because it took me 20 to 30 tries before I could get to him before he jumped, or he didn't just turn around and walk away. So I don't feel good about having that just in a regular any percent. Like, obviously I did what I could to make it as seamless as possible, but that was the result of essentially a day and a half of work to get him to do that. And by the way, I'm comparing against the 317 simply because I didn't feel like making 315 world record splits. Like, 317 is just the lowest splits that I have, so... But the world record is 315. Battles were actually especially challenging because I made the decision very early on that I would not splice battles. Because it's not fair. You know, if I splice halfway through a battle, the armors are going to be in completely a different spot. Trico's going to be in a different spot. Some of the ones that he's already hit, like, won't have been hit. And so their counter for how many times they need to be hit will be reset. Like, it's too much. So battles need to be done in one seg, which made them very hard. Yeah, it's something that I've wanted to do for a long time, Azama, and like I said before, I'm not a professional video editor. This is more of a heartfelt project than, like, the set in stone, there will be no lower time than this type of thing. And some of it looks kind of bleh, you know, because I couldn't get a good cut between two segments, but it is what it is, and I'm still really proud of it, so... Thank you, Sirius. There are 3 or 4 cuts, really, that I just really, really do not like. They're super obvious. They're super, like, janky. But the reason that they are the way that they are is because it was like a once-in-a-lifetime thing that happened. You know, like, Trico's AI just wigged out, and it was perfect. And so I couldn't do it again, you know? I couldn't do it again for a better camera angle or whatever. I'm not sure, Azama. We'll have to, like, give it some thought. Obviously, Trico is going to be in exactly the right spot here, or it wouldn't have made it into the final cut. You'll see a splice here. I just couldn't get this one quite, like, super smooth, but... And this is a really good example of what I was talking about before. I will not splice to make Trico closer to me. So Trico was back exactly where he was. You know, like, this could have been an opportunity to just make him close to me, but that's not fair, so... I'm super proud of this. Like, I'm so proud of this. This particular spot went, like, so well. This climb is very intentional, down to exactly what feather the boy is putting his hands on. That missed jump is intentional to get up here without climbing the wall. I did this so many times. I wonder if every single split will be gold. It would almost have to be, right? Like, it would have to be. Well, I guess not necessarily, because some of my splits, my personal bests, probably made it into this video. So... But yeah, every now and then, like, you can see that this is kind of like an older video, because the colors aren't as rich. You'll see it switch between, like, different qualities of video, depending on when exactly I took the clip from. Like, it could have been 2 years ago that I got a clip. There are some clips that are very, very old. I messed up the restart. I decided to keep it in because otherwise he was really fast. So there will be little flubs like that that cost, you know, less than a second. That it was just kind of weird to redo. And because I was super fatigued, honestly. But... Exactly, all should be gold or tied. I think we might tie a couple. Well, but then again, these segments are kind of long. So we probably will gold all of them. Are there several never happened before or since moments? Absolutely. There are a lot of like really awesome stuff that Trico does. Thank you, Tic Tac. I'll do my best. So you can see the video quality change there. This is a more recent one. Yeah, Tic Tac, I'll try not to choke at the end. So obviously having Trico not get stuck here is important. I think one of the absolute most excited to show you things is this next part that's coming up with Cage. Like, I am so excited to show you this. Because it's completely different. You will not even recognize it as even remotely the same routing. Yeah, I don't remember this guy. I think it was like second try. I don't think it was third. So it might have been first or it might have been second, yeah. And I would estimate, you know, there is still time to save in this quote-unquote TAS. It just got to the point where I was, like, so fatigued fighting for frames that I was like, this is fine, I'm gonna reveal this, and then I can make another one later. You know, I can improve this once I have a break. Tool assisted with splicing. Fairly quick for that door. Like, I wanted to make it faster, but there wasn't really much that you could do. He's always a little bit slow there. I just want to, like, skip ahead like it's a YouTube video so that I can show you the parts that I'm really excited about. Change the game. But also, Sancho, in reference to your previous, like, never before question, there's actually a cutscene later in the run, much later, that, unless you do something wrong, is never seen in any percent that we get by virtue of doing things a little bit wrong. Intentionally wrong. So there's new, in quotes, cutscenes and all that stuff. I'm excited. See, again, like, I messed up the reset, but it was weird to like splice a new one in just to fix it. So I was like, whatever, it's like a second, you know? Okay. So this is starting exactly future time saves. Like I'm gonna come back to this and fix it again. Maybe for like New Year's next year. I'm gonna work on some of the sections that could be improved. This section I am so proud of. I found this, I exploited it, and it's way faster. And it looks pretty dope as well. So you can see there was a splice. Yes, Sancho, with a little bit of extra flair. The Davidson skip finally finds its place within it any percent. JK, one of the very early exploit hunters for Last Guardian. So we're actually going to go backwards out of this. This is what's completely new. Normally we would watch the scene, go forward, and do all this, but we're actually going to go backwards and back up Trico's tail, which is permitted. And we will just use a little bit of geometry to cheese our way right to the end. You can skip it, JK, but if you choose to skip it just in a regular any percent where you're going through the tunnel anyway, it takes longer to get back to that point in the tunnel after the reset than it does to just watch the scene. Which is why we don't do that. So here we're gonna have a mute because this occurred like during a stream. So it's muted so I'm not talking over myself. This could be better. It could be a little bit better. In the end, this one was what I deemed to be really good. So I figured it was alright. And you can see Trico's already in here, or I would not have kept this seg. If he was still outside and I needed to call him, I knew that we could do better than that. Exactly, JK. Like, that's definitely possible for Trico to destroy all of them. The negative, of course, is then you don't have a helmet, and he's slower to come into the room. So, based on the, couple dozen that I did in one sitting, plus the couple dozen from another sitting, I was like, well, this one is considerably better than all the others. We're gonna stick with this one, and then this is an area I'll work on improving, next time. I've only ever had this happen once, which is why I kept it. I think that it will mute. I don't remember if this was during a stream. Trico was already turned around, and then he ran into the cage instead of backing up, turning around, slowly walking. That was really fast for him. Gray Eyes! Thank you for the follow! How you been? How's Last Guardian treating you recently? Is this an optimized Mort cam? You could actually say that, Sancho, since it's the one that I use for marathons when Morty is asleep. Hey, Fanciful. Nice to see ya. How you doing? There is, unfortunately, even in a perfect run, no way to skip this. We just have to do an iteration where Trico is going fast. It's so weird to see Trico so well behaved. Trico is such a star in this. Trico is best boy. Like, let's be real. There is no boy better than Trico. So there was obviously a splice. I actually cost myself a little bit of time there, just to make sure that I didn't splice ahead. When in doubt, I lost a little bit of time to splices, so Mort is scaring me. So this happened during a stream, that's why it's muted. I didn't split vine skip, I see. So that was, you know, first try, vine skip. Which means that we can't use the reset for Trico. Or else it will reset us. But this is still faster. Even waiting for Trico to do all this, this is still faster than solving the jar puzzle as intended. And so I'll split food stairs there because we would have already reset if we were doing that reset, but we're not because we did vine skip. So already, if I just like picked up the controller from right here and then just ran a normal run, we would have world record. Like, you know. But this run is gonna get a lot better, I promise. Poured my heart and soul into this sucker. Coming up. Coming up is gonna be, that was unintentional, but he goes through this cave at the same pace no matter what, so it didn't matter. Coming up is going to be one section where Trico did something once that I have never seen before or since. But Trico did it, so that means it's possible. There's going to be a pretty big cut though, because it's going to be at pillar skip. The climb up Trico to encourage him to turn in the way that I want him to turn is very specific. And so I got that section, like, completely correct. It was perfect. And then I screwed up on the actual jump and grab. And so I had to splice it even though, like, I wanted to do it all in one seg. Because it ended up being that another time, Trico turned further than I had ever seen him turn. And I was like, what? And I was able to make this really great jump. So they had to be put together, and the camera angle is weird, so it's going to be a pretty significant cut, but still. I'm excited for you to see it. This section can be done better. This climb can be done better. He can do a step up onto one of those rocks. Exactly, as long as it's theoretically possible. And this is gonna be the bit that I'm really proud of. So you can see the cut there. But he didn't grab the ledge. Like, that was the thing. He didn't grab the ledge, and I was like, oh my god, I have to keep this, because if he grabs the ledge, not only do you have to do the whole animation of coming up and like pulling yourself up, but he grabs the outside edge, which means you have to shimmy a couple times to get around. And it saved so much time to have him just like not grab for some reason and just be able to walk on it. And I was like, I have to keep this, even though my climb in the other one was perfect, you know? And I'm pretty sure what happened that made Trico turn just a smidge further and help me actually reach that was that somehow he like actually paid attention to the barrel that's over there, which will cause him to spin like completely 180. So that was really nice that he just kind of messed up like that, you know? Hey, CJ. Nice to see you. Thanks for giving the lizards a treat. See, that's the thing, Sancho, like... A lot of the stuff in here saves a lot of time, but you're gonna lose so many runs to it. Like, it took me a long time to get one workable Davidson skip at Cage, you know? And if you fail, you have to watch the entire cutscene again. So you had better be able to do it on your first try, essentially, or it's completely not worth it, and the run is dead. Exactly, Shadowtash. Yes, that's exactly what it is. The gate will guaranteed open if you watch the cutscene where the boy is like, oh, these are armors. Which is why I went down to do that. These are all mine, Tic Tac. I didn't take any from anybody. I wanted to take, hey Pat, nice to see ya. Thank you for the good luck. I wanted to take the run on the White Tower Bridge from Satsu, because he's really good at moving while the controls are inverted. But I was like, nope. I'm not gonna have this be my entire run except for one clip, right? Like, I'm just gonna do it. Samurai, not Samurai, Satsu is so good at, I don't know if I said Samurai the last time, but I meant Satsu. Is so good at doing that inverted White Tower control thing. Do it, this guy. Basically, Tic Tac, like, I just kept running pieces over and over and over until I got what I deemed to be perfect, or as close to perfect as possible. You'll see a cut here, right there. Because this was a section that I had to run, I want to say like 70 times or something before this happened. No, I think that it's possible. Again, that intentionally flubbed jump in order to get Trico to keep his head there, so that we didn't have to do any version of petting for the skip. But yeah, Azama, I want to create a poop percent thing. Like, it's definitely possible. I just need to... I was gonna do some more research on it. If somebody wants to do it, like, I'll make it a category for them. So this is a little bit different as well. We're giving Trico command while we're up there. About 50-50 whether he listens once you're up there, but if he does, it's faster, so... I have a couple honorable mentions where I was getting super bounces off of Trico. Early on in this run, like when I was creating this segmented run, I thought that the solution to a lot of problems would just be super bounces. But actually they're not really that helpful. That was almost death, but it wasn't, and that's all that matters. I hope that this spliced together correctly. I did a lot of work on on this segment. There's a lot of manipulation that you can do here. And by this segment, I mean like the entire Turtle Guards 1 and 2 bit. You'll see what I mean in Turtle Guards 2. I'm gonna essentially like do two things at once. Also, this was pretty dope. Bam, fight's over. I can do a lot better for sure, Thanatos. It'll be a little while. I'm still kind of fatigued, but I would definitely be happy to do one again. So you can get a super bounce there to just like go up. Excuse me, like onto the ladder from Trico's back, but somehow it actually, when I timed it, it ended up not really being worth it. This is a pretty fun jump. I was really proud of that. Blind jump onto the bottom ledge. And I actually did that on my first try. I thought to myself, I wonder if this is possible. I wonder if I can just make a blind jump and then just like drawbridge, you know, like not grab the top one. And then I did it on my first try after that. I was like, okay. So this is very intentional where I land. I land on the ledge and then die. That triggers the checkpoint, but it also triggers a death. Because touching the ledge is what makes the checkpoint. But we do a death so that the armors are in a little bit pre-rotated state, which allows me to go around the front and begin pulling instead of having to wait the entire time. But you have to hit the ledge and fall and die in exactly that, you know, kind of configuration in order for that to work. This guy, if you mean the time for this will never be touched, like, by a human doing an any percent in a single segment, absolutely. This has so much stuff in it that I do not believe... Like, you could do one of the things in this if you were lucky, but it's not gonna be everything. You'll see later what I mean. This was another place that I got a super bounce. I was considering using the super bounce on this one. Or maybe I did. No, it doesn't look like I did. You get it off of his shoulders there. This is basically the main thing that I think from this run could be included in any percent. If you're willing to take that risk, I think that that's potentially like regular single sig viable for, you know, 8 seconds of time save. Because it takes practice, but it's not really that super hard to get him to grab there. I look forward to seeing the spears constantly change. Yeah. The spears, the gamma. Oh, I spent a long time testing this, by the way. Just to get him to go like a second faster on these jumps. This part was very frustrating. It literally is like a second or something of time save that you get for doing all of the stuff that I just did. Hey, Fan. Yep, this is the closest thing that we got to a TAS. And it's, you know, it's not perfect, but that's alright. Hold on a second. You are probably getting, I just noticed, you're probably getting duped or echoey, audio. Do you care? Is the game audio fine or does it seem echoey? Okay, if it's fine, I'm not gonna mess with it, but... I don't think so, this guy. I don't think so. Because a lot of what saves time here is Trico being really, really good. But, I mean, like, if... Shut up, Mort is meditating. If, you know, a robot was doing a task where the AI was also, you know, working perfectly, then yeah, I mean, it would be better than this because I make some very minor mistakes throughout. Bucci, doing a host. Thank you. I appreciate it. This was basically kind of all the same. Like, there's not too much different about, you know, what this section is doing. Yeah, exactly, JK. Like, every now and then I'll just accidentally tap into a wall or I'll be a little slow to hit yes on reload. But the overall seg was so good that I was like, I'm not doing this again, you know, just for not doing that. And I'm not splicing again just to get rid of that, so... I'm also happy... Oh, sure, JK. I'm also happy that there is some time save left because I do want to keep working on this. Which that means, you know, I have a spreadsheet that shows me each seg. Also, this is going to be muted because this happened during a stream, so... I have a spreadsheet that shows me each seg, and it shows me how long it is, and I have it color-coded by how good I think it was. Like, can this be improved? And there are quite a lot that I still want to improve, so... I did too, a fan. I did too when I first got that. But yeah, so this is going to be muted just for a little bit because Trico, I don't know what stream this was from. I would be able to go back and look though. Trico didn't do the whole head bonk thing against the gate, which was a result of where the axle was placed. We'll get audio here again in just a second once Trico does the big pull, I think. There we go. Oh, I guess I should split Hodor. Thanks for all the treats, everybody. I will be sure to give them out. Mortcam apparently needs to be completely reinstalled, which I don't understand. So the current Mort is our marathon Mort, but I promise that I will give treats. I know, A-fan. You always do. This strat that's going to be used to leave this area early this is definitely RTA viable. It's Trico dependent though, like whether he has his head up high or down low. But I've done this, like, on stream during runs, if it's possible, so that's not, you know, super unusual. It's just a Trico thing. Got a little splice there. Trico did so good. He jumped so quickly after this. Like, this was... A lot of times I had, you know, 20, 30, 40 identical clips that I was timing and then writing down the times to determine which one was the fastest. This one was one where it was like there was no question. This was definitely the fastest one. It was really nice that he jumped so soon. Yeah, Tic Tac, I remember you asking. I don't know whatever came of it, but yeah, like, you just have the channel for it. This was the only time I was able to push this all the way down to the bottom, because pushing it is faster than letting it roll. For some reason, Trico didn't follow me. It was the only time that he didn't follow me. I don't know why. But... Don't remember seeing that skip before, as in the reset. It's pretty comparable in time. Honestly. Now, something very interesting happens here. I've had this happen twice. Once, literally, like 2 or 2.5 years ago, and once now. I am, like, gonna take a different route onto, you know, this platform. I'm gonna use Trico's arm instead of going over his head. But something about... I think something about the way that you leave that jug and he's just up. See, that was a bad jump. I could have done better. The time that we lost, I don't know, you know, like, I think that's a mistake in the split. Not the seg, because we obviously didn't lose 35 seconds. That was very fast. And this is all pretty standard. You can do any of this in a regular any percent, I would say. Well, I mean, to be fair, Tic Tac, Last Guardian did take me, like, a couple years, but... That was also, like, I wasn't working on it for, like, hours every day or anything. I was like, you know, today I have 2 hours, let me run this 5-second section for 2 hours. So this happened on stream, which is why the audio cut there. That was just a really nice jump across those rails, which is why I chose to use it. I spent so long on this section, because if you look at where the eyeball is compared to the edge of the ledge, what I wanted, more than anything else, was to force Trico, like, this was my plan. I wanted to force Trico to run all the way to the edge of the ledge, and I was going to get a super bounce from his foot that would yeet me straight across to the bottom of the eye. And I would skip like a minute or more of puzzle. But unfortunately, he has a wall that he hits right in front of this swirly staircase, and he won't do that. And then if you get him to run towards you at this point, he doesn't have enough momentum, and you don't make it to the eye. So deep down inside, I want that to be a thing, but I don't think it's possible. You can also get Trico up onto the curly pillar, like the circular staircase pillar, but you can't jump off the front of his head like far enough to make it to the eye. I was messing with that for quite a long time too. I chose to do the reset here. Realistically, the timing is about the same because you have to sit and do this now, so there are definitely going to be a lot of moments in the run where, yeah, things are going to happen that are absolutely not RTA viable. I could not make this splice look good no matter how hard I tried, and it really, really irritated me. I think it's just an error in my splits, Tic Tac. I think it's just a mistake. I must have forgot to split butt climb at the right spot. You know, so it's entirely possible to land up top and then jump up in one movement, and I just couldn't get the splice to look good. But timing-wise, it's correct, so that's what matters most. Did you, Azama? It's really satisfying to do that. Like, it's such a swag trick that actually has, like, a pretty safe backup, so... So this bit... Again, the splice doesn't look good, but I was more concerned about maintaining accurate timing than I was making the splice look good, so... We're gonna meet Trico on the way down, and then if you leave him alone, he will do this jump immediately, which is great. But you have to... Typically, you have to be on his head and a little bit to the right in order for him to start that jump right away. Otherwise, he kind of hesitates for a minute, and then he'll jump, or you have to give him a command and he'll just give up. I actually took meeting Trico on the way for granted, because I did that successful jump onto his head, like, pretty early on in my attempts, and then for a long time couldn't get it again because the timing was like way weirder than I thought it was. This obviously, super obviously, can be done better. I can position myself at his butt so that I'm ready to jump. So that's going to be one of the first things. You can see that was a very obvious cut to a much older video. That's going to be one of the very first things that I fix when I do like version 2 of this. That's a very easy thing to fix. The jump during the cutscene. Do you mean the cut, JK? Also, this is literally like to the pixel as far as you can go before triggering the cutscene. I spent a lot of time testing that out. Yeah. Like that whole section is just like so much time save potential. There's probably 15 seconds in there, you know? Because as you said, at least for some of the cutscene you can move, so your movement does get stopped during the last like jump and a half. But there will actually be some sections where I'm doing blind movement during a cutscene, so I don't see why that would be any different, you know? Literally just walking in front of him. I've since discovered that that could be even better. You can straight up walk in front of him without banging into him, so that's something to improve as well. So there you go. Realistically, you know, we probably saved closer to like 12 seconds or so on that split, because the last one inaccurately represented that we had lost time, so. Still a time save though, obviously, because it's gold. Yeah, Azama, that's like, it can be super frustrating when he does that. For a while, I did the strat where you jump to the left of the bridge and down to grab the ledge because I couldn't get him to like stop grabbing the bar. And obviously we wouldn't have barrel skip in here if it wasn't perfect, so there should have been no doubt that we would have hopped up onto that as soon as possible. I suspect that you can do this bit a little bit faster. Like, I think if I don't already do this, I'm pretty sure you can just throw this barrel to Trico instead of set it down in front of him. It's risky, of course, but that's kind of the point. And some sections like this end up being, you know, pretty standard. Like, there's not much you can do to make it faster than what it already is in the any percent. I think we'll cut back to a fairly old piece of video for this next upcoming section, so that means it'll probably be muted. And obviously Trico did a great job here. He's still having a little bit of a hard time lining it up, but... So as you can see, not really very much time saved between barrel skip and dark room, because it's literally just, you know, you walk like you would during an any percent. It says that that wasn't gold, but I don't believe that. Or, like, it's probably just about the same as what we got before, right? Ruby! Hey, nice to see ya. Is this skipped? Yes, it is. I think we're about to go back into an old piece of video from probably like 2 years ago. Oh no, this is a little bit more recent. So here's cutscene skip. Even optimal Trico seems to take his time. He sure does. Yeah, it was nice to put cutscene skip in there. Like, obviously it was gonna go in, but it happens less frequently than I would like in a run, you know? Because it's all Trico. It's literally just spamming Trico go, Trico go, Trico go, and just hoping that he goes, right? And all the time you try to get Trico to do that cutscene skip, and he's walking forward, he's doing a good job, and then right as he's getting ready to do it, you know, of course, it starts to play, and it's like, dude, if you would have gone like half a step more. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. One thing that can definitely be improved, and that really drives me nuts, is that when the boy, and I'm sure any of you who run this know this, when the boy jumps up onto things like this, like these ropes and these bars and stuff, he always faces the wrong way. Drives me nuts, but obviously, you know, for a task purpose, you just run it again and again and again until he always faces forward. So that's something that can be improved upon for the next time, the next version. Draco, nice to see you. Thank you for the resub. 5 months.
So is this another plat for Speedrun?
I appreciate it. Good God, imagine doing this with plat percent, like a segmented plat percent. Boy. I hope you secretly cut in leg stretch. Oh, I should have done that. Now, I'm not gonna lie. This piece of tech coming up, I am super, super proud of. And it's pretty dope. And it was really, really hard to get right. It was one of the couple instances where I was working on it while Husbando was at work. And I sent him the clip once I did it. And I was just like ecstatic, and we were celebrating for like half an hour over the phone. Alright, check this out, because this is dope, people. This is dope. Like, come on, right? It took me so long to get that right. Because, like, 96% of the time, you don't even land on the rope. You just, like, jump past it, and you fail, and you die. And when you do land on it, there's a very a la Last Guardian, or not Last Guardian, Shadow of the Colossus, where you have, like, 95% stabs and not full stabs. You have a very specific, like, this is a long run. It's like long, short, short, medium to get to exactly where you need to be so that you'll drop onto Trico's butt, and then you still have to drop and, like, do it all very quickly. It took me a long time to get that to work. But I knew it was possible. How are you enjoying it so far, Ruby? From what I've seen, you seem to be enjoying it, but I'm also a little biased, so. Yeah, essentially this segmented run is literally just run the any percent like normal but better, interspersed with like swag moments like that, you know? Concho, just watch Ruby like 6 months from now just pound out a video like this. And we're all like, what? This just came out of nowhere. Didn't even start with the guide, just started with this video as the guide. I'm glad it's helpful, everybody. I'm glad that people are actually getting use out of the guide. Hey, we're not losing time, you liar. We're not losing time. One of the valuable things about this run is that it's going to tell me where my splits are wrong. Because I know that there's a couple splits in there that are kind of messed up over time. And this will help me find them. But I know all of, like, I don't need splits to know this is faster. I timed it against the same sections, you know, in the world record run. So I know that it's faster. That's possible, Sancho. That's definitely possible. Because these 317 times do come from a PS5, so possible that was just like a load. Yeah, Azama, based, of course, on the fact that intensive care gave me so much trouble in my flat percent, like, leave it as its own thing, you know? Pretty sure that there's something wrong with this split as well, so... But I guess it doesn't have a time. But yeah, every now and then I'm sure we'll get splits that are a little bit behind, just because they're erroneous in some way. I was pleasantly surprised that All Talked Out was not hard for Platinum. Like, if you know what you're doing, you just get them and that's it. It was still annoying though, for sure. It was so much to think about. Because sometimes the hint won't trigger if you do something as simple as calling Trico after you step past a certain place. And it's like, oh, well, God, this is just programmed into my brain. I'm gonna mess it up, you know? Yeah, I think the longest wait time for a hint is either like 5 or 6 minutes, but there's multiple of those. The water hint, the one where it's like I resolve to lead by example before you jump down to the water puzzles. Because that one takes, yeah, I want to say like 4 minutes or something to trigger. As a reminder, we are currently 12 minutes and some ahead of a 13:17 or 3:17. World record is 3:15. Knowing what you know now, you may modify your bets for what our final time is going to be, if you would like. The entire time I was doing this, I was making benchmarks. Like, in my spreadsheet is a bunch of benchmarks that's like, here's what my run is at, here's what the world record run is at, here's what this run is at, you know, at this particular point. And sometimes it would suck because I would do like a ton of segments and save like 5 seconds. And it was discouraging, but other times, you know, I would save 4 minutes and it's like, oh well, okay. I really wanted there to be a way to speed this up, but there really wasn't, except for just knowing what you're doing, you know? So this is pretty standard, you know, this is the way that it would go in a regular ol' any percent. Naturally, that went better than it would during an 80% first try, but, alright, now that we're done with that tree thing, we can get back to actually getting into the run. Really, Azama? I don't know why it gives me so much of a problem, especially lately. It's so satisfying to do it, though. I'm glad that you got it to work. That throw was very intentional, because that almost guarantees a reachable barrel for Trico, so that you don't have to reposition it. Any poops in this run? Unfortunately, no. I should have, like, spent a little extra time just to get one. Like, I should have just included a poop. Like, I should have included the poop from Really Really Longathon, because he's already doing what he's supposed to do during that segment. It literally would not have cost more than, like, 5 seconds or something. I should have done that. Oh, that sucks, Shadow Tash. What kind of pace were you on? Usually takes 2 there to get him to go. The first is to get his attention, the second is to give him a command. He chose to do 2 movements there to the right in order to line up for that jump instead of 3, which is why I kept this seg. That's what made it just a smidge faster. Rode the wall a little bit to force me to the right, further than I could jump by myself. Just for that little extra, you know, inch or whatever. I think there's a splice, yeah, right about there. So that would be joining the jump segment with the fight segment. That's why there was a splice there. But as I said before, no fights are spliced. The fights must be done single sig, because otherwise it's not fair. Because the armors are going to be in a completely different spot every time, like, the ones that Trico has already hit or not are going to be different every time. They have to be a single sig. Wow, that's a pretty substantial PB. If you were on pace for that once, though, Shadow Dash, you can definitely do it again. As with almost any of the fights, like, this could be better. You know, I'll work on the fights more in a second version. For now, it's fine. That was still pretty decent, obviously. A little bit of specific walking and camera turning and all that to get Trico to come a little bit faster towards me. An ideal dangly puzzle is really something to behold. We actually had one segment of it. Aiden was there, I think. So there will be a segment that was muted coming up for dangly bits, but Aiden was there for what was essentially just an immediate ceiling break. And of course, location of that was pretty specific so that we could be on his neck. Climbing Trico is like such an integral part of the speedrun, being able to climb him in the way that you intend to. And it did actually surprise me, you know, that sometimes you have to, in quotes, make mistakes in climbing Trico in order to get him to do some of the stuff that he does during this run. Like intentional flubs on jumping up to his head cause him to leave his head in the air longer. Why does it seem like the audio is desyncing a little bit? That's weird. So, coming up here, we should have a brief muted section because this came from a stream. I would say probably 6 months ago. Maybe a little bit less. Where Trico did a perfect first half of this puzzle. It's always nice to get, like, perfect things on stream. You can see, just like, bam, immediately. And this could even be solved faster. So we'll have a little bit of a muted bit that came from a stream, but you'll see by the time that I get over, his tail's already down, which means I could do it faster. I could have done one fewer call and gone over there first, and then it would have been a smidge better, but again, it's nice to have things that you know you want to fix for the next version, so... Yeah, why does it seem like the audio is just like desyncing further and further? Sorry. Not really much I can do about it, I guess. This was a nice little fight as well. Yeah, I don't really know why the audio is messing up, but is what it is. Yeah, it's not really that bad right now. I just have very like keen ears typically. In the end, it doesn't matter. Like, we could do an entire muted video and it would make a difference, so it's fine. Trico did a great job with that fight. Obviously, you know, he's basically ready to eat by the time that I have the barrel out. He is already calmed down. Still slow to eat because he's a goober, but... So I'm gonna cancel Trico out of that little dance that he does at the end, which is adorable, but you know, for the sake of a task, we don't want him to be doing it. And I say task, I mean this isn't a task, but it's the easiest way to describe what this is, so... Yeah, very nearly sub 3. I think Samurai's is like a 315 low something. Let me check, actually. I was messing with it, Shadowtash, and I could not get 0 to spawn, but I suspect that there is a way. That's just a hunch, but 315.15 is Samurai's world record. You can see that I almost died there to that, like, debris pushing me down. Also, thank you. That little Hanglejang was somebody following me on YouTube, I think. Thank you. Hey, Deacon. Nice to see you. How you doing? Exactly, Thanatos. Like, even during a regular run, if you get caught by that guy, he literally just stands there. It's like, where are you gonna take me, buddy? Can you push that armor off a ledge? If you get lucky, yeah. Like, he has to be stumbling first because armor take 2 pushes, one to get them off of balance and then one to push them down. But you can. Yeah, if you let him grab you and get him close enough to the hole that he gets wiggly on his own, then yeah, you can push him off. I do, Deacon, yeah. I don't know down to the millisecond, because I haven't actually timed it, but I know how long the video file is, and I know how much of that is the ending cutscene. So... So here's music glitch, obviously. The music is not gonna stop until we reset. Because the game expects there to be more armors and I haven't killed them, so there you go. Getting this catapult in exactly the right spot was very challenging and took many, many attempts. Which is why you see the cut there, because I had to cut to the actual attempt where I got it. Like, getting Trico to do this as quickly as possible. At what point do you call the time? Like, it's still when you strike the master. But yeah, all of this catapult stuff is very, very specific. Because I want Trico to do it very quickly, which he's obviously doing, and I want to land as close to where I need to be as possible. Wow, that was a long delay in audio. The audio delay is just getting worse. But yeah, like, all that effort for 20 seconds of save, I think, is worth it. Yep, as soon as the master is hit, just like regular any percent, as soon as the master is hit, not as soon as the master, like, blorps out into a blob. Because that's usually about 1.5 seconds later. I wait until then when I'm doing live runs, because I want to make sure that I've hit it and not just the cage, but... That was me not splitting fast enough. You saw that 15 was gold and 14.59 was not. I forgot that I was supposed to split, so that was gold as well. I was gonna say, so, you know, some pretty cool things happen up here at Cage, but obviously that's the point of the task. Yeah, Starcoin, this is segmented. It was an attempt to see what the low end of possible might be. And like I said, there's still stuff to improve. I am planning to, you know, do an additional version of this with further improvements. I think then we can take probably... a minute might be pretty extensive, unless new routing stuff is found, but close to a minute I think we could still save off of what the final time is going to end up being. Yeah, possible, in quotes. Right, Shadow Tash? Like, it's pretty rare for me to hit the master, like, first try as well. Thankfully, you're basically guaranteed to get it second try, so that's good, but someday I'm gonna be, you know, 5 seconds from the world record or something, and it's gonna take 2 shots, because of course it is. Is this the theoretical perfect Trico run? Yeah. You will see, like, I would feel confident in saying that this is a perfect Trico run. Like, the time loss that we're experiencing is me, the boy, like, accidentally tapping into a wall and hesitating for half a second or whatever. You know, Trico is great. Try to destroy the entire cage without hitting the master. Well, I was was just reading somewhere that you can destroy the, like, the bird's nest at the top of the tower. And last time that I tried to do that, you could destroy some of it, but I don't think you could destroy all of it, so I kind of want to go back and try again. It's still on the platform, Thanatos. It's just a very good pull down to the bottom. Because it doesn't actually get thrown. Hey, Mushu. Nice to see ya. Yeah, this is the segmented run. The tail Thanatos doesn't actually get thrown, like with any momentum that would cause it to accidentally land at the bottom. It just spawns in a certain spot, so there's nothing, unfortunately, that we can do to, like, keep trying until it gets thrown all the way to the very bottom. Mars, nice to see ya. How you doing? Like, I should have spliced in poops here, because we have this exact camera angle with Trico pooping there, and it wouldn't take that much longer. I might do that for version 2. Like, yeah, it's gonna lose some time, but I don't know. It's goofy. Really, Thanatos? Well, Thanatos, do you mean bottom, like, where the master is, or do you mean the bottom of the 2 platforms where you can stand by the fan? I've never known that to happen, Thanatos. I wonder if it would truly be better, because then there's no way to get down without breaking your leg, which then obviously takes time to walk off. The only way you can get down without breaking your leg is because you're holding the tail, you know? Because, yeah, I can't remember ever having a time where that happened. That's interesting. Sorry if the feed just flashed. Yeah, about 15 minutes saved at the halfway point. Little piece of new tech here. Much harder than it looks. It's potentially worth incorporating into any percent. But it is very dangerous. But, you know, it's faster, and that's kind of the point, so. The lineup for it took me a while to figure out. I got it on accident once while trying to rush ahead, because my save state was way back here for Cage Puzzle, and I needed to just rush ahead and get back to Cage so that I could do it again and again. And I happened to find that you could do that. But it's rough to say whether I would include that in any percent, because if you miss, you go back down to before you've ever ridden the cage, so. wish there was a way to make this faster. Yeah, I was messing around trying to figure out some sort of shortcut to get past these platforming sections, but it really just kind of is what it is. We're already at the top, so... The cut here, just... Again, it is what it is. You only get the cutscene the first time that you attempt this. After that, you know, the camera angle's a little bit different, so the cut's gonna be a little bit weird, but... I had a really good fight with the female Trico, so that's why that cut happens the way that it does. Because she got focused on the tree. That happens sometimes. It's always like what you want to have happen, because then obviously you can do exactly what I just did, but... A little bit of hesitation, again, was intentional to make sure that she stayed out of this hallway for just long enough for us to keep going. And see, like, that little run, that could have been better. I'll fix that next time, you know. Kinda seems like the audio synced back up, which is nice. Did doing this make me better? Yes, it did make me better. There are some segments that I do consistently much faster now after having done them literally hundreds of times to get like a 10-second segment out of them, you know? I mean, a lot of it is RNG or non-real-time viable strats, but I definitely did get better as a result. I spent so long on this section trying to see if there was a way to get the cage to close without me. But unfortunately, as soon as the light shows on the cage that's going to start closing it, there's an invisible wall, so... Yeah, they were really, really careful with how they programmed this entire cage puzzle. I was exploit hunting in this for, like, weeks. Because I wanted to be out of the cage, or I wanted to throw the helmet backwards out of the cage. Basically by using kind of the same principles of a super bounce. When I jumped in, colliding with the helmet in such a way that it would push the helmet very quickly through the door. But there just is an invisible wall. Yeah, so that's the thing, Tic Tac. My cage is good, but I still technically cannot beat the second half of Samurai's cage. I don't know about the one that he has in his world record, but he has a clip of a perfect second half of cage that I still did not get. And it you know, it just kind of came to the point where I was like, I want to release this at the beginning of 2021. I'm out of time. I'm just gonna release it like the way that it is now, you know? It's still really, really good, but there definitely is a couple seconds of improvement, you know? Hey Cypher, thank you for the host. I appreciate it. How you doing? I'm pretty sure, Sancho, that I still get the cage pop, but I think, as I recall, that Samurai got a straight shot directly into the pod that opens the cage, which I could not get. I got very close and you'll see that, but... And I mean, this is still a really good cage. But the segment split that you'll see here is essentially... I needed to do the first segment correctly, where Trico quick cycles into pushing very quickly. And then I segmented, and then the second half would be the actual, like, push at cage puzzle. So the segment splits during the push when Trico is pushing me up onto the ledge. Oh, I didn't split, by the way. A little bit of a flub there in the menuing. Those are going to be very easy to fix, so. So there's a way we can get Trico to be a little bit quicker here. Part of it is up to you, part of it is up to Trico. He will always ask for pets, like, unfortunately there's nothing you can do about that. I spent a while trying to get him not to do that, but he will. He has to do that first, or else his AI doesn't work for cage. So we'll get, yeah, a little bit of a seg thing there. Twas the best I could do to make those pretty uniform. Now, one thing that really helps this, like, idealized cage puzzle is during this fall, it is possible, if you are careful, to not break your leg. And you will see that I do not break my leg. And so we don't have to do that whole bit where you know, wait and run around and fix your leg again. You just do it immediately. Not the bees. I mean, you're gonna break your leg here. That's just kind of how it goes. But for this launch, like, this is a really good launch. I don't think it's quite as good as Samurai's. And like I said, it was mostly just that I ran out of time, you know? Still a really good launch. We ended up in there with no rolling. Cage is vertical. There you go. So that was still really good. Blind backwards run to the cage will allow you to grab the helmet without doing that stupid swirly thing around it and without breaking your leg when the cage moves, which is why I did it that way. Yeah, Sancho, sometimes the reset makes sense, sometimes it doesn't. It kind of depends on where the cage is and what situation you're in. When it's vertical like that, it typically makes sense. Yeah, picking up the helmet is such a nightmare, which is why I did that backwards blind run. Because if you just hold circle to try to pick it up, I'm sure you've seen the boy just... I didn't even split. The boy just literally... Boy, I did awful in my 317 apparently on this segment. The boy just like spins repeatedly in a circle forever trying to pick up the helmet, so it's such a nightmare. Yeah, that's sub 3. Assuming she keeps pace. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I plan to lose a little bit of time in my perfect run, Sancho. Yeah, everything's perfect except I do White Tower as intended. Okay, so the dog is begging me to go out, and this section is basically the same as it would be like in a regular any percent. So I'm gonna mute myself real quick and take the dog out because he has to pee. I'll be back in just a second. I'm back. I'm just probably loudly getting back into my spot. Because we have a leather chair. So I'm gonna mute again. Okay. Jeez. I got the cord for the mic stuck between my toes. And I couldn't, like, get back to where I wanted to be. Blame the dog. Hey, Samurai. Nice to see ya. How you doing? See, that could have been, like, a smidge better. But again, you know, that's something for version 2. So is that. Missing that jump. I really wanted to have this out by early 2021, so some things just have to be saved for version 2. And yes, I know that cage and the cutscene and everything was right here, and I could have just taken the dog out now, but he's 17, and I wasn't confident he wasn't gonna pee on the floor, so there you go. I mean, he's holding up so well for an old dog, but still, he's an old dog, you know? For sure, Samurai. It's nice to see you. Hope you've been doing good lately. And to sum it up, Samurai, as well, like, there's really not much in here that's actually usable for any percent. A lot of it is just, like, making sure that Trico's AI is perfect, which obviously we can't control. But it's still fun to mess around with non-RTA viable strats and stuff. But there's like, I would say probably like 2 or 3 things that maybe we could make more mainstream, you know? What kind of dog do you have? I have a Cheagle. A Beagle Chihuahua. Husbando calls him Don Cheagle. Exactly. Yeah, realistically, Samurai, like, this run can still be improved, but the things that can be improved are by and large, like, me. Right? I made sure that the segs where Trico is doing stuff, Trico was right. Trico was doing, like, perfect. And so it's just me, like, tapping into a wall and slowing down for a second, or me not being as fast as I could be, going to yes when I say skip a cutscene or whatever, or do a restart. Things like that. But I'm gonna make a version 2 of this, and that stuff will be gone. I estimate we can save probably like 40 seconds over the run if I fix those things. Plus, all the fights are single seg, so I'm sure you can imagine that some of the longer fights, even though we had good ones, could still hypothetically be improved. Because it's not fair to seg during a fight, because the armors are going to be in different positions, and it's just not fair, you know? Yeah, the final I spent a lot of time on the final fights, and I'm really, really, really proud of my elevator. But and actually the first White Tower fight also went what I would say is very well. But the 3-phase fight once you're in the White Tower, like that could definitely be improved. It still went well, but you know, at this point you're working on hypotheticals. Like, well, hypothetically, Trico could just like cluster them all together and then slam all of them to death at once. Like, well, yeah, sure, that's technically possible, but what's the best that we can hope for within the next million years? You know, like. Technically, a monkey could write the code to the universe if you gave him an infinite amount of time. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to say exactly what, like, a perfect endgame White Tower fight is, so... I didn't split? No, I did. I think that this split is wrong for Cage, but I don't remember. I think maybe I fixed it. It used to be wrong for sure. I think it's still wrong because there's no way to save time. It's just a run to the cage. So I think that this split is not quite right. We should be just breaking even. But, you know, we'll see. Getting these jumps up onto Trico's head actually took a lot longer than it might seem. Land on the lever so you don't break your leg. Exactly, Azama. Like, that would be really, really fun. I would work, like, tirelessly on that. Yeah, any of those times when Trico, like, you command him to lift you up, and you're going from his back to his head, like, throughout this segmented run, you'll see that it's always I'm on his head when he's up. And sometimes that takes, like, a little mini super bounce or something to get up to his head because the timing is not normally possible. This game definitely presents, like, a lot of problems for things like TAS. Like, I really want to do a blindfolded run, but again, Trico is his own thing. He's never going to be in the same spot, so it's basically impossible, unfortunately. Because if you can just, like, straight up manipulate Trico's AI, you could have him jump forward at eye in the sky, and then you jump off at the eye, like, you know. Have him jump through eyeballs and stuff, and that completely changes how things happen. You know what would be really fun, Moose, is, like, if this game ever gets the ability to have, like, mods and stuff, either it comes to PC or whatever, I want to just remove Trico. Like, I want to make Trico invisible. But he's still there, it's just he's invisible. And I want to see, like, if I can complete the game with invisible Trico. That would be really fun. Yeah, I could imagine it being really frustrating. You see, that's pretty standard. That was also me being a little bit slow to split, but that is pretty standard for how long it takes Trico to come through there. I could have been a little bit faster, like a half a second faster as well. A ghost percent. I like that name. So I'm sure you can imagine that me getting this upcoming fight, excuse me, to be good was very frustrating and took a long time. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Because for me, this fight is always passive. You know, Trico doesn't kill these armors the way that he's supposed to, so... It was hard to get this to be a good segment. Hey, Moose. I've got like 20 seconds. Give me some credit. Now all of this is just, you know, attempting to manipulate the armors to be where I want them to be. And that did work, you know, 2 of them got smashed at the same time. But essentially, I just took this fight for what it was. I had a decent fight, and I was like, alright, you know, this is good. That's a pretty good fight for Trico. Clearly this can be faster. But like hypothetically, that's a pretty easy place for Trico to, in an ideal world, kill all 4 at once. But I'm really proud of White Tower Skip. I think you all will enjoy it as well. I can do better on this bridge. I was talking about that earlier. Like, I want to be like Satsu on this bridge, you know, and just have a really good run up when the controls are inverted. And this one was alright, but I can do better. See, like I get snagged there before I can start running again, and then I get snagged. So it's all right, but you can definitely be like more than halfway down. Mission failed. We'll get him next time. So for, you know, kind of perspective, if you go around the White Tower as intended, you spend a couple minutes doing it. Depends kind of on how fast you go on your own here. Tap down into the V for the White Tower skip, and then you can actually step up instead of grabbing. So that White Tower skip takes essentially 12 seconds. Yeah, it's a very quick skip, and I spent a lot of time on White Tower skip because it's such like an iconic skip in the run. So there are a couple cuts within it just because I wanted it to be really, really clean, but essentially you don't do the hop around on the same side method, you do the hop across method. Hop across, once you are in the V, if you have finagled your momentum right, you tap down to make the boy crouch so that he doesn't keep walking. And then, you know, you run up as I did. Yeah, you jump across the gap, tap down while you're in the V, but that means that you have to land in the V with your feet. You can't, like, grab it. Also, I, like, completely didn't even split this split. You can't grab it with your arms. You have to be high enough to actually walk into the V. And then your momentum has to be just right to be able to tap down into a crouch so that you stop running forward. And what makes it even harder is that in that tap down, you then have to angle to the right. I'll wait till this is done so that it's not quite as loud. You have to angle to the right while you're in the tap down to run up the bar without stopping. And then take a flying leap up to the next bar. So I wanted that to be as clean a demonstration as I could get of a perfect white tower, you know? Trico. But you know, again, it's surprising that in a segmented run you would choose the more difficult white tower. And I don't mean early versus late white tower, I mean jumping across white tower versus jumping straight forward on the same side. Jumping across is harder. Yeah, doing white tower the intended way is hard, yeah, for sure. Well, JK, I don't mean jumping across such that you grab the V. I mean jumping across so that you can land with your feet in the V and then tap down without walking out. That's harder than just jumping around the beam. Oh, the skip. Yeah, the intended way is such nonsense. Like, the platforms are so floaty, it's stupid. No, ah! Now it looks like we lost time. I'm grumpy. I was tabbed into the wrong thing, so when I split, it didn't actually split. Yeah, White Tower is like a notorious place to die. It's really kind of a goober. If you do it the intended way, I mean. You know? I have been consistently surprised about, like, Malice strategies in Shadow of the Colossus, to be honest. Like, they're so much faster and seemingly more convenient, you know? I say that as somebody who doesn't run Shadow except for very casually, but, you know. So there will be a couple things different here about the Trico fight. Yeah, I'm not good at splitting, Draco. If Alzuri were here, he would tell you that. So this fight is going to be a little bit different than what we would expect in any percent, obviously, because things can be done differently, and it's actually pretty cool. One of these things that happens at the end is... I debated not putting it in because by all rights it shouldn't work, but it did, so if I got it to happen, then it's in here, you know? And you'll see. It's what prompts a completely different cutscene than we would normally get. So I actually think probably the majority of you have never seen this cutscene that we will get. Alright, this is pretty dope. I'm pretty proud of this as well. Hey Aiden, nice to see ya. Now the other nice thing was because I could get her tail in there through, like, during the cutscene, I could already be pulling by the time that the cutscene was over. That was the first time I've ever gotten that to happen. Because her tail was already in. No worries, Aiden. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, throughout this fight, there's actually, like, a lot of times that you can move while the scenes are happening, and you can be in different, like, vastly different spots if you just know where to go. But I was really proud of the leg grab. Because actually, if you go back and watch, her tail wasn't, like, visually in the door, but it counted as slamming down on it anyway, which was awesome. This is the bit that you'll see. I could not believe that this worked, and I've never been able to get it to work since. This creates a completely different cutscene. You'll see. This is a completely different cutscene. So now we have, like, nighttime Trico, which you do not see this if you solve this the normal way. Right, Fanciful? Like, this is completely different. Like, I think that this only happens if you fall from the train cart instead of blowing it up with the mirror. Like, I think that's what causes the difference in the cutscenes. But then later, because we already have this nighttime view now, it will not do the cutscene where, like, after it pans up from Nom Noms, it shows, like, you and Trico sleeping together. That won't happen now. It's like it chooses one of those cutscenes to play. This blew my mind when I was like, wait, what? Yeah, exactly. It happens when you grab onto it instead of destroying it with the lightning. But, like, aside from that, this section is pretty normal compared to any percent. It was really just the fight and lead into this section that was a little bit different. Thanks, Azama. Yeah, I think that that's probably, like, most people's first reaction, JK. Like, for their first run, is to just kind of be hopping around and then you end up grabbing that thing and it falls on you. Yeah, I think that grabbing knocks you out and then you, like, sleep until nighttime, which is why it doesn't show you sleeping later. It doesn't show the other sleeping cutscene. And it was way harder, JK, than I thought that it was going to be. Because I had kind of theory routed that in my head for a long time. Like, maybe you can jump down and do that. But actually, like, getting the angle just right, there's a very tiny, very specific spot that you have to land on in order to grab that. And for a while, I was just doing it and nothing was happening. Like, I was landing on it, and then I was just kind of, like, down there, and it wasn't doing anything. But I got it to work once. I don't know what the difference is. I got it to work once, and that was good enough for me, you know? And I don't actually know if it's faster. I don't remember. I might have just included it because it was swag, you know? Yeah, you can see. You can see it's not faster. I knew that I just included this for swag. Because I remembered that there was one thing, I didn't remember where though, that I was like, oh, I'm gonna put this in anyway because it's really cool. And I guess this must have been it. But you can see, it says this, but then it doesn't do the, like, moonlight pan up. You just, like, wake up in the morning since it played the other cutscene. Yeah, Aiden, there are some pretty insane, like, non-RTA viable strats to do in this run. Plus Trico just being, you know, perfect. What did you guess, Shadow Tash? I don't remember. I mean, I could, I guess, just literally pull up my spreadsheet and see what the time comparison was, like, between the two. So we have a muted section here. The reason that this is muted is because it happened during a stream. Actually, I think that this happened during my Lightning Emissary guide, like the beginner's speedrun guide. Trico doesn't do his little twirly whirl here. He just goes straight for the jump, which caused this to be included because I have not gotten him to do that since. Because he is a butt cheek. But yeah, normally he goes in the opposite direction and turns around at least once during that section, so that's why I included that particular bit. And then this section is muted again because it was done during a stream. And I was just yammering away, as is my wont. Exactly, he always does his twirly twirl. Like, it's literally just, I guess his AI is a little bit different. Because earlier on, if you go and look, Aiden, at the VOD at pillar jump skip, after you see the other Trico for the first time and Trico takes a bath, I think what happened is just Trico triggered onto one of the barrels and that caused him to turn far enough that I could make a really insane jump that normally is not possible. Like, that wasn't in my control, but Trico still did it. Which was awesome. So there are a couple things in here where I feel like Trico kind of wigged out a little bit and it was to my benefit, you know? There is no PS5, JK. It's all PS4. I was able to process some of the video into 60 FPS. Which... Or... How did I do that? There wasn't PS5. I set it to 60 FPS when I was recording. As a result of playing on the PS5. Like, I set my OBS to 60 FPS and then processed it at 60 FPS, but there's no PS5 stuff in here, no. I didn't include PS5 because I don't know what it does. You know, I don't know for sure yet whether the boy still walks at the same speed and everything, so it felt disingenuous to include PS5. Because, yes, some of this footage is taken... And you can see the quality difference, right? Like, some of this footage is taken from after I had started running on the PS5. And so at that point, my OBS was recording in 60 FPS. I did, yeah. I did remove my PS5 run. Until I do more research, it didn't feel fair. And mostly I just haven't had the time. Like, I've been really busy, so I haven't had the time to look more into it. It's not a big deal. I'll get to it when I get to it, you know? It's nice to see this section, like, finally go really nicely. Yeah, no, like, there is better quality footage in here if some of the segs I just took within, like, the last month or two. Because I had, you know, all my saturation and, like, gamma settings improved on OBS, and I started recording at 60 FPS. But the game itself can't play at 60 anyway, so it just resulted in, like, kind of better looking stuff. Right, exactly. Like, the PS5 caused me to figure out how to make my OBS better. So, some of this stuff benefits from it. But some of it, like that no twirly twirl thing, was from, like, 6 months ago or something, and the quality is much worse. Really hard to get Trico to do this. To get him, like, not to buck me off. And you can see that he shifts the position of the mirror and makes it hard to shoot like this, but it's faster than getting down on the ground, so... Right, Shadow Tash? This whole section took me quite a long time to really be happy with, because Trico just is real quirky in this whole bit. But yeah, JK, I was actually kind of concerned because I knew that some of the more recent stuff was recorded with higher gamma. Or I'm sorry, with lower gamma? I don't remember which one makes it look brighter, whether it's lower or higher, but the gamma was different and the saturation was different. And I was afraid that playing it through OBS with those settings would, like, double the effect and it would look really ugly, but thankfully it seems to look just fine. Took a lot of tries to get that to the point where I was dropping the mirror and running, like, the second that Trico shot. Instead of, like, you know, waiting for it to hit before dropping the mirror. There are some things you can do to make these tower climbs a little bit faster. I decided that that little fall there was, like, fine. Because I was still on his leg and I still got down fast. But I'll do that differently in version 2. Now Trico will actually leave here. As I recall. It's possible to get him to stay up top. But actually, it is a little bit faster if he leaves. And that's weird to say, because if he stays up and you open the door, For a little while after the doors open, he kind of almost doesn't understand, like, what's happening. And so he won't listen to you as well. Compared to him coming up and then just being immediately ready to come into the door, that ends up being faster. Which really surprised me. I really thought that Trico staying up top would be a little bit faster, but as you can see, he just comes right through the door, and that's fine. If he had stayed up there, I would have had to call him a couple times and be like, dude, come on, you know. Yeah, Shadow Tash, it is mine too, as well. Like, I'm not a super huge fan because it's literally just platforming back and forth. I understand the necessity of it, and I understand that it's here to, like, challenge you to be able to control Trico really well on small platforms, but... I actually kind of feel like a lot of people's any percents could like improve just by actually paying attention during this section. It's super easy to check out here and just be like, okay, whatever, Trico's doing it, you know, and then you could be going a little bit faster. But you've been at it at this point for usually a little bit shy of 3 hours, like 350 or 255 or something, so. Hey, see you later, Azama. Yeah, I'll upload it onto YouTube. I'm not technically allowed to upload it until tomorrow, but I will. And you can feel free to add it to, like, a Team Eco playlist if you want. That's fine. Thanks for stopping by. Have a good day, Azama. The mirrors, Sancho, are deceptively hard. It seems like, oh, just hit the mirrors, not that hard. But realistically, it's way harder than it seems to actually get all of them in any sort of, like, good fashion, you know what I mean? The mirrors still really irritate me at times. Hey, this is pretty dope, though. There's a very specific way to do this so that Trico is not in your way. This used to actually be an any percent strat until it was determined that it took too much time in its current state and it's too risky. But Satsu used to do this back in the day. Like, this entire time, Trico has to not interrupt the beam, right? Or else it doesn't work, so that's why it's not used anymore. It's too risky. Takes time for no reason. Yeah, I first learned that Aiden from Satsu because he used to do that in his, like, 321 or 322, whatever he used to have before the 318. But it's just, it's so hard to make sure that Trico stays out of the way. And so we don't do it anymore because if you don't get it on the first try, if Trico steps in the way, then you've literally just wasted time for no reason. You know? When you could just do it for roughly the same amount of time, but from his head. The only time that you really lose is the time it takes for Trico to pivot away from that thing and back toward jumping if you do it from his head, so. Of note, once you pull this lever, it is actually possible to move during this cutscene. Some of you might know that. You can make it all the way outside and start going down the stairs if you can figure out the rotated controls. And so that's what I'm gonna do here. You'll notice that I'll be outside as soon as the camera pops to me, and it'll pop pretty aggressively. Because the same as any other time when the camera starts to get really far away from you, if you just tap the joystick, it'll suddenly just, you know, pop right behind you. And so I moved during that to make sure I was already outside by the time it ended. That one is really hard. Like, that one's way harder than moving on the White Tower Bridge. I don't know why. You know, like, they're the same principle. But for some reason, that one's really hard to actually figure out where you are. Because if you do the controls and you start to move away from the lever, you'll feel the controller vibrate like the boy is like stuck on something, right? But you can't tell if he's stuck in a corner or if he's stuck on the ledge outside, and so you don't know where to turn. It's good though, Aiden, that you're like trying to move during that cutscene. That's a good, like a good practice to get into. Is it like lagging for you, or is that just me? Those were not cuts. Those were probably just literally like lags in OBS. So I'm feeling actually pretty good about this first fight on White Tower. Like I said, the fights are all single seg, so I feel pretty decent about it. This is not one of the fights I would start with if I was gonna redo, you know, some of this run. And we'll get that little bit of lag there, because we always do. There will be a real quick seg just as I get over to the right, but it actually negates Trico killing that guy, so it ended up a little bit worse right there. And there's Trico killing that same guy, so at this point the fight is single seg. We don't split things after this. Yeah, the second mirror guy is the worst. You'll see that even in this segmented run, when I could have just done it again if it messed up, I still go and check to see if the second mirror guy is there. Because Trico still needs to take care of armors anyway. So it was like fine for me to check. Have you eaten like 600 bagels, this guy? See, I told you that those were good Pop-Tarts. And now I've passed on the curse. And I am free. Yeah, I felt pretty good about that fight, Aiden. Like, It could be faster. I think basically any fight could be faster, you know, but... Okay, I am so insanely proud of my elevator. Okay, like out of all the things in the run, the elevator is like... I routed this out and got it down to like perfection over the course of a couple weeks. So obviously we land there. We're gonna seg just to join it with that one where we landed on top, but... This routing is very, very specific, and it's different from what we do in an any percent. There are 6 guys in the elevator. The timing basically needs to be immaculate for this to even work, because I have literally like 50 gigs of video of me like just attempting this. Juke this guy. Dodge so that he doesn't catch me, make it around him again, and with these two, all 6 armors are woken up. I didn't split for elevator skip. All of them walk into the door. All of them are dead. I was so proud of that. I spent so long trying to make that work. And there was, you'll notice there was a, what's the word? A splice, that's what I'm trying to say. A splice in between, like, walking in there and then shooting them. Because it's really hard to get all 6 of them to line up in the doorway. So there were a couple times, well, okay, it was really hard to wake all 6 up without getting caught, number 1. And so of the, you know, 1 out of 20 times that I actually got all 6 to wake up, they didn't always all 6 come to the door. So that's what the join there is for. But I was like insanely proud of that. That was one that I showed to Husbando. Like I sent it to him and I was like, look at this and tell me that I'm awesome. Yeah, that's really expensive, Shadow Tash. But I guess, like, it's way more expensive when you're not in the US, right? This fight is okay. You'll see some like frustratingly slow areas, but this fight is okay. I ended up, you know, being pretty satisfied with it because I did, you know, 30 or 40 iterations of this fight and this was the fastest, and I was like, well, you know, this will be something that I'll come back to when I make version 2. You can see I'm getting knocked down, and in an ideal world I wouldn't be getting knocked down. I'd be shooting and stuff like that, but this is still a pretty decent fight. It's still well below average for what you would get in an any percent, so I was like, yeah, this is fine. I actually intentionally moved that helmet while Trico was taking care of that guy so that I could use the mirror here instead of running back to grab the helmet, because I knew that that's what the boy would do. Intentionally trying to lure those guys together. So anyway, I started blasting. That's an It's Always Sunny thing. Yeah, getting that beam around Trico was part of the reason that I kept this attempt. Because it's hard to get both of the guys on the terrace so quickly, and that ended up working really well. It did get very lucky that that ended up going backwards into the door. I was so sad that guy didn't die. I was like, come on, his feet are molten. And him not dying actually ended up being kind of a problem, because you can see Trico interrupted me there, and then I picked up 2 helmets. And like, Trico was still fighting, so it ended up being fine, and he killed that guy like right as we were getting that thing, so it ended up being fine. But it was just really frustrating. So there is still some pretty cool stuff. Even though we're basically at the end, there is still some pretty cool stuff to do. As far as, like, new tech. And actually, Sancho, if you're still here, there is one segment of this segmented run that you actually clipped for me. And I used it. So, congratulations. Took me a long time to get this just right. This is actually deceptively difficult, getting Trico to do this quickly. He does like a little twirl kind of thing here, like that, instead of going a full circle, and that's actually a lot faster. I thought you might, Sancho. When is TOG meme compilation? Every Tuesday. That bit. Sancho actually clipped that for me, where I managed to get into the tunnel without climbing. Like, the boy just like phased into it. That was during a stream. I don't even remember what stream it was, but Sancho was kind enough to clip that. This master was a lot of trial and error, a lot of testing to know exactly how far I needed to take this in, so that I had exactly the amount of time I needed to get up the cage and no less and no more. So you'll see that I am very close. Like, they're already peeking through the floor and trying to come at me. Every time I ran that Aiden, I was like, ugh, the entire time that I was climbing. So this is very specifically planned so that you don't fall and you land in front of that thing. Getting no fall on the fan is RNG. So I literally had to repeat this over and over and over until he both didn't fall and landed in front of the plinth. It took me a long time. Yeah, it's dumb, isn't it? You can make it more likely by not pushing forward on the joystick. But it'll happen or it won't. Also, check out this reset. Bam. Cutscene. Right? It's kind of a risky reset, but I think that we need to put that in any percent. I do. Because the reason it's risky is it kind of depends on what Trico's doing outside. But I think that it's probably worth considering, you know? So that you don't have to follow him around on foot. Well, this guy, if I take the world record, then what else am I going to do with my life? I prefer to sit comfortably in... I could take the world record if I want to, but I won't. Yeah, like, if I thought that I was like one run away from world record, I would try to get the world record before I revealed my stuff, right? But it's RNG. Like, you all know that literally the only thing holding me back from world record and what has always been holding me back is Trico AI. Like, that's what it is. So there's no reason for me to like hide what I've discovered when I'm not in control of when I get the world record anyway. And at this point, things like this run, this segmented run, the platinum percent, things like that, I am way more proud of than I ever would be of any percent world record. Like, you know what I mean? Could be a little bit faster on that reset. That's alright, you know, it's like half a second or something. Now, I will tell you that I spent a lot of time trying to skip this. This guy, are you like stressed out? I will. Let me just relieve you, this guy. This cutscene takes about 2 minutes with this Trico, so there you go. Like, there's nothing I can do about it, you know? But you can see that I'm in a wildly different camera angle than I normally would be. I was trying to manipulate the Trico. Like, I spent a lot of time. And even though the developers themselves directly said, you cannot make this go faster. But I was like, well, you also said intensive care is no spears for an hour, so I don't believe a word that you say. So, you know, I spent a lot of time testing and trying to control this Trico, trying to get it to go back to the tower. I wanted to get back onto its tail, because I thought that if it couldn't see me, it wouldn't be angry anymore, and then it, you know, would go back to the tower. But you can't get to its tail around its armor, unfortunately, even though it looks like you can. So, as of right now, I have still found no way to make this faster. Shadow Tash, you guessed 253, I think, right? That's what I hope, Moose. Like, I had many thoughts. Like, I thought maybe I'll just let go. you know, maybe if I die in the middle of this, it'll just put me on the tower, but you can't let go either. So, like, I really wish that we could find a way to skip that. But as for right now, I have not found such a thing. But yeah, I mean, this guy, I wanted sub 250 as well. And I think that I can get sub 250 with a lot of hard work and one more kind of like reroute in some area. I have some ideas. So there you go. 251.24 is the low end of what an any percent could be for the last Guardian. World record is currently 315.15. My personal best is 317. My sum of best is 306, but still, you know. Yeah, beat the world record by over 20 minutes. I worked on this project. Let me wait until this gets a little bit quieter. But, I worked on this project for essentially almost the entire time that I've been running Last Guardian, which at this point has been a couple years. You know, I would be doing attempts. I would be either recording or streaming, and if something really good happened, I would save it and put it in a folder called TLG Segmented. And, you know, over time, I just gathered a bunch of these, but then at the same time, you know, about a year and a half ago, I sat down and I was like, okay, I'm gonna actually make this a thing. Like, I'm gonna take this seriously. And so starting then, I looked at the clips that I already had, which, you know, was like cutscene skip. I had, what were the other ones that I had? I had cutscene skip. I had like really fast butt climb. I had actually a different variation of drawbridge skip, but JK's ended up being faster. So, you know, and I had all these and I was like, okay, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to fill in the blanks. And that's when I started, you know, every day I would take like an hour or something and just do essentially like a 30-second segment over and over and over. And some of these segments, I could point them out if I look back. Some of these, I literally have hundreds and hundreds of attempts to get, you know, 15 seconds of gameplay just perfect. And my computer is actively slower since I have all of this data on it. A lot of it's been deleted now. Like, I don't have all of the originals anymore. But I still, even without all the originals, I have like 90 gigs of video on here that I need to delete. But this has been my passion project for quite a while. I'm really glad that it seemed like everybody really enjoyed it. And yeah, Sancho, like, it was a labor of love. It is not perfect. The cuts are not always great. Like, I could do things better. It's not perfect, but it is what I wanted it to be and what I hoped that it would be, which is, you know, a demonstration of the lower end of what we could expect in an absolutely perfect any percent. And at some point, I'm going to revisit this again. I'm going to fix up some of the areas that were not quite so perfect. But that's not for right now. You know, I've done this. I've done the world's first platinum percent. I'm good with just running memes for a little while. You know what I mean? So I appreciate all of you who hung out. We're gonna watch this play to the end. The credits and everything, so that I just have a one complete Last Guardian video. But I appreciate everybody who hung out. And thanks for the GGs, everybody. And thanks for always hanging out in streams as well. It's a lot easier sometimes to have fun with this run when you can laugh about Trico being a troll with other people instead of by yourself, you know? Yeah, I'll highlight it, Aiden, on Twitch, and I'll also upload it to YouTube, and I'll post it in the Discord, unless, you know, somebody else notices first, and then, you know, they can post it if they want, but I'm glad that you all enjoyed it. I worked really hard. And a lot of the skips, like, especially the one that comes to mind is right by cutscene skip, when you're getting ready to be swatted in the face with the other Trico after the pillar breaks. When I slide down the thing and then run across the rope, and you're not supposed to run across the rope, you run like left across the rope and then drop down to grab Trico's butt. That was a completely accidental find. Like, I was doing something completely different at that point, and I slipped, and I panicked and jumped, and I actually landed on top of the rope, and I was like, what? You know, so it's really satisfying to know that some of those things started as accidents, or just me goofing around or whatever, and then turned into some cool non-RTA stuff. Thank you, this guy. I appreciate it. I know that things like this aren't everybody's cup of tea, but I'm still proud of it for what it is. I really, really wanted 250. So essentially a minute and 25 is what I have to find in here. And I know that some things can be better. So, see you later, Moose. Thanks for hanging out. Have a good day. While all of this is playing, does anybody have friends who are streaming that we could raid once this is over? We've still got like 10 minutes or something before the scenes are over, but... Let me see who's currently streaming. Like, I don't just want to raid GDQ, you know? We do, Shadow Tash. I made sure to put it in. I specifically did a take so that we would have that, yeah. Melatonin? This guy? Is that who you're talking about? Yeah, I mean, you were the one who taught me about that, Shadow Tash. I didn't know. But I don't know. I feel really proud of this project. And I'm just gonna sit here and enjoy, like, the full credits and everything, which we don't usually watch. Just chill and relax and be proud that this is out into the world now. Sub 3 is free. I wanted the like complete, you know, everything in this VOD, so I made sure to include the credits and everything as well. Now, for y'all who usually come and watch my Last Guardian runs, the ones that are not segmented, this, which has taken me a supreme amount of time and effort, as well as the Plat percent run, which obviously took like 12 hours, plus all the planning. I'm a little tired, as I'm sure you can imagine. So if anybody has suggestions for like meme runs that I could do for The Last Guardian for the next like week or two, just to kind of chill, that would be great. I did no camera control, and that was actually a lot of fun. But if anybody has other ideas, let me know. I've done no camera control. I've done inverted, which was really hard. Yeah, I might just have to do like poop percent or something. But like, what do I do if I don't even get it, you know? Because we ended up getting really lucky, I think, in the plat. Because he only pooped the once, and we very nearly missed it, so... I don't know, Tic Tac. Like, that's the thing. I don't know. And maybe we can spend some time messing around, but... if he could poop in the first room, it would more likely be, like, in the second room, where you get the ledge grab to go up to the mirror. Because he poops best on flat surfaces, and the room that he starts in is kind of sloped. But he's also, like, hyper fixated on you, and you typically need to be out of his line of sight. So it might be hard to get him to poop in the first room. Yeah, like, after the pot is, I think, like, the earliest that I've heard of it happening. And that's the thing, Tic Tac. Like, there's got to be a semi-consistent setup. Like you said, I tried multiple fairly consistent setups during the plat, trying to get him to do it early so I didn't have to worry about it. I tried it after the first guys who have eyeball shields. There's a pretty consistent setup there, as well as 2 places on White Tower, and he wouldn't do it, and I don't know why, you know? Exactly, Thanatos. Like, it was actually a huge relief to have poop. I was confident about poop just because we had so much time in the game, but realistically it is still like a big problem. Exactly, Shadow Tash. Like, you and JK have both had poops in that area. You know? It was a huge relief to have poop. You know, this guy, I've been thinking I should have one of those, like, chat commands where people add quotes to it, and that would have been, like, a perfect one. Oh, absolutely, Tic Tac. Like, you cannot go through Shadow and Eco and then just lose it to Trico not pooping. Do you know how to do QuoteBot this guy? Because I have no idea. If you know how, like, can you, like, link me to something? Because I kind of want to do that. Here, or Discord, or whatever, like, it's fine. Thank you, this guy. I appreciate that. I'm thinking, Thanatos, about, like, little Mort, because they're kind of in the way if they're there all the time, but I'm thinking about having, like, a little animated one that you can summon with chat points, and he'll just pop out for a little while and, like, walk across the screen real quick. Because I've seen other people do that, and I like it. Thank you, this guy. I appreciate that. I'm so relieved that after all this time, this is finally out and people have seen it and they had fun, you know? It's the same feeling you get when you complete like a really daunting task and you just have all the weight lifted off of your chest and you feel like you can take a deep breath. That's like kind of what I'm feeling right now. It feels really good. I'm gonna be completely silent for this last scene here because I think we all know how lovely this scene is and I don't wanna interrupt the music or anything. We'll chat again once we get the end. We actually got a very tattooless boy for this run. There it is. The end. We did it. Ah, this feels good. I feel great. I let me set you up to raid. Thank you for the congrats, everybody. I appreciate it. I'm glad that you all enjoyed this. It was a long time in the making. Let me toss you over to. I mean, I have no problem tossing you to Mel. Hold on just a second. Who is doing Hollow Knight. And of course, Morty is getting treats here at the bottom. Thank you, everybody, for cashing in your points from Morty Treats. And as I said before, thank you, everybody, for joining, for tossing your support my way, not just today, but forever. You know, thank you. Morty appreciates all the treats. I'm tossing you to melatonin for Hollow Knight randomizer, I do believe. And maybe this time next year we will see a little bit lower time on segmented. We shall see. In the meantime, stay safe, everybody. Have a great day, and I will see you around. Later.